All right, class, we are back on page 9. Which sound our single vowel usually makes? All right, class, I want you to tell me all together in a closed syllable, which sound does our vowel make? Good, our vowel says its first sound. All right, so we've got our vowels written in and some just 2-letter closed syllable words. Let's go ahead and do some 3-letter ones. So the CVC there means it's going to have a consonant, a vowel, and a consonant. So remember, all we need for a closed syllable is it ends with a consonant. So it could be 2 letters or, gosh, look over here, we've got 5 letters. Any of those, as long as it has what at the end is still a closed syllable. Good, as long as there's a consonant at the end, it's still a closed syllable. All right, so find your, what is this? Good, your a. Since it's a closed syllable, what's it going to be saying in our word? Good, it's going to be saying a. Let's write the word cap. What sounds do we hear? I should do that the other way so it's in the direction we read and write on the camera. Good, k, a, p. All right, class, now wait. Don't write anything yet. For k, there's a default. Remember, a default's just what you always go to unless you hear something different. Which k is our default? That means unless Mrs. No tells you to use something else, you always use that one. Which k is it? Good. K, s is what we always use for k unless I tell you to use something different. All right, now that you know which k to use, go ahead and write the cap. Say the sounds while you write them. Again, make sure we're starting our p at the dotted line. That's the correct spot for that. Then we can't write it backwards even if we wanted to. All right, class, is there anything we need to mark here? You're right, there is not. So remember again, in English, for the k sound, we usually use k, s. So that's why if I just say k and don't say anything else, you don't have to ask me which k. You know, this is what we usually use. If we have to use a different k, I'm always going to tell you. All right, our next one. Oh, what's our next vowel? Good. All right, if you said E, what are its 2 sounds? Good. E. All right. For that one, let's go ahead and write bed. What sounds do we hear in the word bed? Good. B, e, d. All right, wait. One more time though. Because if you're not new, you remember Mrs. Nose told you, I used to get b and d mixed up all the time. That's because nobody taught me the starting spot. Our b is a tall line letter, so we start at the top baseline, and we start close to our last letter. And we pull a straight line down, and then we go around our circle. All right, so b starts at the top baseline and close to the margin or our last letter. That kind of makes us go in the right direction. Now, d is a clock letter, just like k, s. All right, so we start at 2 on the clock right there. And we go around and then up and down. All right, I promise you, if you start these ones at the correct spot, you're never gonna write the wrong one. And I know some of us are still doing those. So if you're not used to those starting spots, just practice them. All right, I promise it's gonna make a big difference. It did for me. All right, so now that we know, wait, where does B start? Good, at the top baseline. And where does D start? Good, over space just below the dotted line, touch 2 on the clock. All right, now that you know that, I know you're gonna write the word correctly the first time. One more time, what are we gonna write to spell bed? Good, B, E, D. Start at the top baseline. Say the sounds while you write them. B, E, D. All right, class, do we need to mark anything? Nope, everything's saying its first sound. Remember, the markings are to help us know if something isn't saying its first sound and also to see phonograms that are more than one letter. So here we've got nothing to mark. All right, the next vowel, what's our next vowel? All right, it's I, but what are the three sounds? Good, I, E. Let's use the word fit, as in that shoe does not fit. All right, once again, just because I know some of us are still reversing our letters and we want to practice starting them in the correct spot so we don't do them, is a clock stroke letter as well. So just like duh, it starts over a space and just at 2 on the clock, but this one starts over a space just below the top baseline, touch 2 on the clock. And we just go up and down, and then we make the little cross right above the dotted line. Some of us are still writing this one backwards, and if we remember where to start it, because it's a clock stroke letter, we won't do that. So let's just write one f on your practice paper if you have it. Remember, start over space just below the top baseline, touch 2 on the clock. Thank you if you are using your most beautiful handwriting. All right, now that we know we're going to write that correctly, let's go ahead and write the sounds in fit. What are they one more time? Good. F, it. Say the sounds while you write them. It. All right, class, do we need to mark anything? We sure don't. Oh, our next one. Oh, we get to use our rule from yesterday. We had a rule about this consonant, class. What are the two sounds of that consonant? Good, g, j. And which one does it usually say? I hope you said it's first. Or if you said g, that would be right too. So just like all our other phonograms, it usually says its first sound. But we have a rule about when this can say its second sound. If you know it, say it for me. Oh, I think I heard Eleanor. She was saying G followed by E, I, or Y says J, which is absolutely correct. All right. So the word that we're going to write is the word gym, not like a person's name, like the place where you can go to exercise or when things are normal again, the place where we'll go to have PE, that kind of gym. It's short for gymnasium. All right, what sounds do we hear in the word gym, class? Good, our sounds are J, I, but our J is G, J. Class, which J are we going to use? Good, G, J. All right, and class, what lets our G, J say J in the word gym? Oops, I just realized I might have said it wrong last time. Our rule for G is G followed by E, I, or Y may say J. All right, so our J is G, J. Our I is, we know since it's across from the line we're using, our I is ya, I, E. All right, so go ahead and write gym and say the sounds. Will you write them? All right, class, why don't you tell me what to write to spell gym, short for gymnasium? What is it? Good, J. Which J? Good, G, J. I. Which I? Yeah, this one's ya. I, E, and All right, so when we have this, and look, we know it has to be a vowel because are there any other vowels in that word? This is never a vowel, And this is never a vowel, so we know this has to be a vowel. All right, so we know since it's what kind of syllable? Good, a closed syllable. It's going to be saying its first sound, but not its very, very first sound, because that's a consonant sound. It's going to be saying its first vowel sound, which is what? Good, I. So let's read our word one more time. Good, gym. I know some of us did this before. Gosh, we did this at the beginning of the year, but a lot of us maybe weren't listening and spelled it like the person's name. That means something totally different. All right. Okay, our next word, or our next vowel, what's our next vowel? Good, ah, o, oo. So we need a 3-letter word for where a vowel is in the middle. All right, let's write the word not, as in, don't send me to bed. I am not tired. All right, class, what sounds do you hear in the word not? Good. N, ah, t. Go ahead and write those sounds. Say them while you write them. N, ah, t. All right, class, do we have anything to mark in that word? You're right, we don't. All right, our last word in this column, what's our last vowel? Good, u, oo, o. All right, so we're gonna have what kind of syllable? Good, a closed syllable, so our u, oo, o will be saying which of its sounds? Good, its first sound. Let's do the word cut. Let's see. When I was little, I cut my own hair. Cut. What sounds do we hear in the word cut, class? Good, k, t. All right, and remember, which k do we always use unless I tell you to use something different? Good, k, s. All right, so go ahead and write the sounds in cut and say them while you write them. All right, make sure yours looks like mine. All right, class, is there anything to mark in this word? You're right, there's not. Gosh, since we were practicing the starting spots for some of our letters, that took a little longer than I thought it would. So you know what, we'll do the next column tomorrow. All right, but we have something else to work on today, so I'll see you in the next video.